Hi everyone, thank you for showing up so numerously. Yeah, you already said that. Thank you very much, Jan. We have not met in person yet, but it was kind of a very good opening or introduction to our topic now. We would like to drive it one gear up in terms of to show you what we developed, Matteo and myself, over the last almost 2 years. It is a digital product. I'm the product owner. I'm working for BMW, responsible for innovations in sales and marketing. Matteo, you want to say something?
And I take care. I'm based out of the London office, Accenture Interactive, the digital experience agency of Accenture. And with my team, we looked after XR, extended reality, VR, AR, and specifically on Europe and Middle East.
So consumers are changing. Why is that? I think the only constant in life is change. And in these days, I think more than ever, is technology, which is driving this. And this is also the very reason why we're all gathering here. So roughly speaking, what that meant for us 2 years ago, we asked ourselves the question, what does technology-driven change mean for our customers, for the consumers, with regards to what they expect from our products and from our services? This is one part. And the second part, and this is now the topic that I would like to focus on, is what does it mean for consumers, for customers? What do they expect from us as a car company? How should we interact potentially more interactively with them? What do they expect? What do they copy from other industries, from experiences that they made in other industries, and that they are now copying, if they want it or not, also to, let's say, a 100-year-old industry like we are in, and that also Audi is in. So what we asked ourselves, in essence, 4 questions. I will not read them out now. I will not speak them out now. You can read them faster than I can say them. But in essence, these were the 4 questions that we put on ourselves 4 years ago. And to say it very bluntly, we did a big yes behind each of these questions. So we thought it is the right time to come up with something that is directly consumer-oriented, that is not so much technical-driven, so it's not so much to communicate what a car can do and how much horsepower it has, but it has to be much more inviting to experience our products. So again, 4 big yeses behind each of these questions. And without further ado, I would like now the team over there, the technical team, to start the film that we brought with us. And now you can see what you get once you download our app. Could we have sound as well?
There is some audio.
Well, there should be some upbeat music behind that, but this is missing right now. So what you see here actually is the interplay between the boyfriend and this girlfriend. Here it comes. So that spot, that YouTube spot, we produced almost 6 months ago, right before the launch of that very app in Apple's App Store, which we did on the 2nd of December.
Yes, so this story started a little bit, I would say a few years ago in 2013. In technology, this is an incredible long amount of time, basically. But basically, I was playing with my team. We were looking at new ideas, new innovation, new innovative technology. So we were like Google Glass Explorer, and we were looking at all these cool technologies. And of course, one of those was also the Google Tango. At that time, was a very sort of the first steps of this technology made by Google. And that's how we started to see what can we do with this kind of technology? How can we approach our clients? What kind of use case scenarios we can build using this technology? And that's how basically we, of course, I met with Stefan and we thought about ideas, use case scenarios. My background is also in automotive. So I worked in the past in the automotive industry. So I was particularly interested to bring this kind of technology to the automotive industry. And that's what we did. A number of workshops, a number of ideas sparkled, and we basically started to build the first idea of this project. So the first release was, of course, for the Google Tango platform. We built the i8 at that time. That was our first car that we did. And of course, at that time, there were just a few devices out there. So a bit difficult to get our app out to the world, basically. But it was a very interesting use case scenario, and we learned a lot. And then we moved to something else, which, of course, you've seen in the video today, something much more mature, when we, of course, had the opportunity to work with ARCore, first ARKit, and then, of course, ARCore, basically. We created basically more than one model. Now we have 3 models in our app. And also we created a link to the BMW website. So basically what you configure on the app, you can actually see on the web configurator.
Right. We then pushed it further. We founded additional funding inside the company, and we got more and more also senior management behind us, and they experienced it the same way as we did it for the very first time when Accenture came to Munich and showed us the very first prototype, how this could look like on a smartphone. We were impressed so much that we decided we move it further. We add the i8, as Matteo said, and we then really do an app out of that. We still take a lot of pride that we have been the first brand to really bring augmented reality on consumer devices. And this was, as Matteo already said, still with Tango. This was in February last year. We then pushed it further. We then integrated the web configurator, as he said. And then almost a year ago, Apple came out with the communication that iOS 11 will have ARKit. So we directly said, come on, we have to jump on that train as well, which then finally led to the publication on the App Store in December last year, and then also consequently to ARCore. So we launched then the app also in March on Google's Play Store. And what we're now doing, I call this learning to fly, is that we're now moving outside our box, so to say, because until now it was very clear what we want to do. We want to do the BMW i brand. I is also for innovative. We had 3 models. We wanted to bring it into the app and do this connectivity, this jump to the configurator. Now it's getting more dimensional because now we are potentially on the very point where we now would like to scale it. Scaling means, of course, adding additional brands like Mini, for example, and also adding additional models, integrating more functionalities, introducing an avatar, whatever might help to make it even more attractive for consumers to interact with our cars. Convenience is a very big word here, of course, because what we allow with the app is to interact with our models wherever you are and whenever you want to. Since it is an app, you can place the car in your living room, in your driveway, in your garden, on the beach, wherever you are. You can share it with your partner, with your kids. And all this before a salesman gets into play and starts talking to you about prices and options and what have you not. So this is the main idea, opening up a digital entry point for consumers who makes it easy and convenient and intuitive to interact with our products.
Yeah, so to be honest with you, before looking at the technology, for us it was very important to look about the content, to think about the content. Content is king. If there is an advice that I can give, is definitely when you develop an application, augmented reality, virtual reality, content, you need to start thinking about the content because it's all about the experience. So for us, of course, working specifically with BMW, we really wanted to provide with an experience that was really, sort of real, that, you could actually experience the leather seats, the quality of BMW in all the most tiniest details, basically. So that was very important for us. And that was since the beginning, even when we developed the application on the Tango device. Of course, we started with what BMW provided to us. We went on, there was a lot of work going on with the BMW team. We looked at the 3D models. We then had to optimize those 3D models for 3D real-time rendering. And this was, of course, a challenge because you wanted to do it in a way that it's not so heavy, that can run on mobile devices, and is still really, really sort of high quality and can deliver that experience that we wanted to build, to create. So basically, at the end, we were quite, I would say, quite happy about the result. Because as you've seen from the video, and we will be showing to you also, you can also download the app, we think that we got the right equilibrium in terms of the way, how big the app is, basically, how much we optimize the model and the quality, the final delivery. Yeah.
So we now talked about the technology. We talked about why we did it. Now I want to step a little bit into how we did it, and not how coming from a technology perspective, but in essence, how much effort and how much cooperation, we heard collaboration before, cooperation it needed within BMW to come up with such a digital product. What BMW is very, very keen on and very experienced in, like the last 100 years ago, is how to sell cars. But how to use now new technology to interact with consumers was totally new. So I just divided this into 4 boxes. In the middle, in essence, you find me, myself. I'm the product owner of that digital product. So we had alone in BMW IT, back in Munich, we had alone 6 different teams that I had to take on board, to convince, to get data from them, to get whatever it needed to make this all happen. And this, of course, needs a lot of talking, needs a lot of coffee. That, of course, went then on my cost, if you want. The business side had to talk with procurement, with legal, with data protection, with marketing, with corporate communications, and so forth. All this had to be done to make this all happen, because in essence, every single department or team had a tiny bit to do with all this. And everyone wanted to have their share, which does not mean that they were all very excited at the beginning, but I had to make them excited and had to take them on board. Of course, we also had external suppliers when it came to language translations, for example, and last but not least, the development teams from Accenture and also other tech partners. This is now not to tell you how brave I did it, but it's rather, the sense is rather to convey to you that it is not, well, it is not simple, but it is rather complex. Again, in a 100-year-old company that is still very much steel-based, even though new things are coming up also within the company, that it took a lot of effort to make all this happen. Even though, of course, and this is, I think, also the art of doing this, that the final result, the app as such, does not seem to be that complex when it is in the consumer's hands. But behind that, of course, there are a lot of efforts.
This is the price you pay for the innovation.
Yes.
Of course, but so to give you some kind of, a little bit of information about the app itself. So the app is currently deployed in 13 BMW markets. It's available basically worldwide in any case. But basically, the interesting thing is that in 38 markets, you actually see the car that you can actually buy. So if I have my app here in the US, I will actually see what the models, the configuration that you can actually buy in the US. This is very important. There is an engine in the app that basically selects and pushes to the customer exactly what you can actually configure and buy in your specific country. We have 21 languages available, as Stefan was mentioning. And very important, we have this link, we call it jump, from the app to the actual website, to the web configurator, the BMW web configurator. This is very important because it sort of closes, it continues the customer journey, basically. And of course, you can also search your nearest dealer within the app. There are other features, like, for example, the sharing. So you can actually configure your car and you can share it with your friends on all social media and so on, basically. And there are lots of multimedia sort of features, like switching on the lights, playing the radio, and so on, opening the trunk, and so on.
Now, we now started off talking about the why. Then we showed you what we did, and we showed a little bit how we did it. Now it comes, of course, the final question that I also have to answer back in Munich. what is it for, or what are the results, or is it paying off in a certain sense? I cannot convey to you all the details, of course, but just let me point out these 3 figures that we put here on the slide. Again, we launched the app in December, so this is now data after 5 months. So December, January, February, March, and April. We're very happy that we have a 5-digit figure of downloads generated since then, only on iOS, but globally. So these are downloads, counted downloads. We also know out from Adobe Analytics that we integrated into the app in order to learn how the consumers, how the app users are using the app. What do they use? How often do they use it? And also, what do they not use? And where could then be, of course, potential to improve the overall experience? We know that roughly 40,000 cars were digitally placed in the living room, in the driveway, wherever the app users did it. And lastly, and this for us is a very, very pleasing and positively shocking figure, is that north of 25% of all app starts result in that configurator jump that Matteo spoke about. So what we in addition to that immersive experience, to the interaction with our cars, what we achieve is that 25% of all those who start the app, or of all app starts, then go one step further, in essence, in our sales funnel, if you want. They continue their customer journey into our web configurator, and this is also the very first time when they see prices, for example, or lease rates, because all this is deliberately not in our app. The app is only about giving you the idea how this car looks like, about the design, about the measures, and certain features like the exterior and the interior and the wheels.
And I have to say that also using the analytics that Stefan mentioned, you can get lots of information about how users prefer, for example, which colors they prefer the most. So all of this really adds to the business case when you build such applications, basically. So you can collect lots of feedback real time about what customers want.
Now, this is just a glimpse on the very positive press feedback that we received. So this is only a sample here. So let me say the most important, be it dailies, but also blogs, they spoke about, or still continue speaking about our app. I think the combination of our brand, BMW, and of course AR really is triggering that. And we're very happy about this. And this also pays into, let's say, the brand image of BMW. So this is not only now directly related to the consumer and the consumer experience within the app, but of course also has a positive impact on BMW's reputation, if you want, when it comes to innovativeness. Now, this is now the last step before we want to showcase the app live here on stage. What we received so far is a very positive consumer feedback. So, of course, we have app ratings in the app stores and other methods how to measure how happy, how satisfied the app users are. And we also get very positive feedback from the markets, because in the end, we're not selling the cars in Munich, but we're selling them, of course, in our markets globally. And this gives us reason that we're now ready to also convince senior management to move on. What does move on mean? This means in the first place to scale it, so to add additional models, add additional brands, as I already said, and also add additional functionalities. So this is now exactly the point where we are. I already started discussing all this internally in Munich to also get additional funding, and we now already, Matteo now already started the app. I will shortly comment what you see here. So currently the sensor is trying to detect where the floor is so that the car really sits on the floor and is not flying around. It has some difficulties here, just in this very moment, to understand where the floor is. The next step would then be to place the car, so the car will appear in original size. Here it is. So this is now the i3. Matteo had pre-selected for you the i3, as you can see here. He is now changing the exterior color. I only have to look at this side. The other one doesn't work. I don't know why. So he now chose the red exterior. The next thing that then would be, he can turn around the car a little bit. He can open the trunk. He can open the doors. And I think then it gets really a little bit more playish when you really enter the car and look at all the details in the car. He's now changing the interior, and he's now getting very close so that you can also see the details of the leather that the app is able to show. You can, of course, turn around. You can take the driver's seat. We have some gamification-like topics in it, like also starting the radio. It's always the same song on that very radio, but nevertheless, it also gives a little bit more of this playish atmosphere when using the app. As we said before, you can take a photo anytime you want. You can, of course, place your partner or your kids in the car or outside the car, take a photo, share the photo with your social media contacts that you have on your very device, and therefore then also spread the word and ask your friends if they also like the car or rather not. So 25 seconds, above, it's red. Good, this brings us to a very last slide. If you could change the signal now back to the PowerPoint, please. Yeah, that's the very, very last slide. So again, coming from an automotive company, of course, to stay within that language, we happily invite you to start your engine, so to say, to do the download. It's available, as I said before, on the App Store as well as on the Google Play. We have a lot of postcards, which is our current marketing material, which we are happily able to distribute to you. And of course, ready any time for any of your questions. We now are already one minute.
Thank you so much. We hope it was interesting, and I hope it sparkles a lot of ideas also for a new augmented reality app. So we are paving the way with this AR revolution. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.